Hi, I'm John Gibson, the main turbo assembler here at Aerocharger Turbos, and I'm here with...
I'm Brad Riley, the president of Aerocharger Turbos, and today we're going to take a close look at the Skidoo E-TEC 800 turbo kit. What to expect when you receive your kit. The kit's going to be shipped in two boxes. This is what we call a kit box, white box. The black box will be your turbo box. But let's just have a close look at the components that come in there and talk about them a little bit. So let's start with turbos.
Sure. Alright, first thing you're going to notice when you open up your turbo box is you're going to notice your turbocharger guidelines. This is a two-sided sheet of paper that's going to pretty much explain how the turbo works and how to set it up and what to avoid.
Along with this sheet, there's a video on YouTube called Aerocharger Controller. It'll step you through a lot of this stuff, explains it, familiarize yourself with it. We'll ship the kit ready to install, or the turbo itself ready to install, but further knowledge is always good.
Like Brad was saying, this turbo is going to come pretty much set up from us already. It's going to have your reference line, also for your boost gauge, already hooked up. It's going to have your heat shield already on the turbo, and it's going to have the oil plug already installed in the cover.
Something you'll see as a theme as we go through this kit is we do absolutely everything we can to prepare the parts to be installed on the sled, short of having the sled in front of us. So again, we've got the reference line, we've got it all figured out. We didn't just hand you a spool of stuff and say, hey, good luck on it. We do as much as we possibly can, but tell us a little bit about what comes on the turbo.
Sure. What you're looking at here is this is your reference line. Like I was saying earlier, this is what the turbocharger gets its reference from as far as how much boost to make. And what you'll do is you'll run this up to your boost gauge. It's very simple, easy, clean installation, and pretty much already set up for you. Now, as far as boost and vane settings that you'll read on your turbocharger guidelines, we have also already set up this turbocharger to maximize the performance that we have found out in the field to work best for this application.
Hey John, what size turbo is this?
This is our 66 series turbo. This is what we call a 200-250 turbo, which basically means 200 on the compressor side and 250 on the turbine side.
What it means is, I mean, we got two different size frames. We got a 53 series and a 66 series. We use the 53s a lot on Harley Davidsons and UTVs, things of that nature. 600 snowmobiles, a 53 is a really good match for it. The 66 comes in three different compressors. A 178, great for 600s and 700s as well if you guys want to run big boost. This is a 200. It's 200% of the original design intent. We also have a larger 224. It was great for, you know, the Cat 1000s and Cat 1200s, things of that nature. The turbine side is a 250. Basically, it means the inducer, or where the exhaust flows into the wheel, is 250 thousandths tall. We have a 200. We also have a 300. We test them all. We play with them all. The 250 is just, it's a phenomenal turbine for the 800 E-TEC.
Speaking of your turbine side, the turbo does come with a stainless steel housing that has been ceramic coated. And it also has an additional layer of exhaust wrap for that additional heat barrier. This is going to double as your outlet gasket. So the outlet gasket that comes with the oil pack in the turbo does not actually get used here. It's just as an extra.
The heat shield is important because we're always trying to keep that heat down underneath the hood of the E-TEC. Just trying to maintain temperature. The oil that comes in this is a full synthetic turbine oil. It's going to come with two bottles of it. You'll want to install both bottles. Don't be concerned about the level at this point. Install both bottles. If you forgot about this for a couple of years to check it, you'll be fine. But we recommend just kind of every fall, go ahead and check it. But tell us where we put the oil in.
Well, here on the turbocharger, you're going to notice the compressor cover has two plugs in it. One is not actually a plug. It's actually a plug with a hole drill in it. It's our vent. This right here is our solid plug. This is what you're actually going to remove to add the oil in. This is also listed in the turbocharger sheet just in case you're unsure on how this works. Now you'll go ahead and remove this plug out of here, install the two bottles of oil, and install some blue Loctite on your plug and seal it back up.
Pretty simple, pretty hard to mess up. Once you've done that, turbo's really ready to install with the rest of the components. We send the turbo out set up for what we believe the good base settings are. This turbo will ship to you set at
5.5 pounds of boost. Basically what that means is that one shim and a green spring.
We're not saying that that's where you ought to run the turbo. You should run the turbo at whatever power level you're comfortable with. But we always recommend that guys start low. Let's make sure the system's installed correctly. Let's make sure things are clicking along. You get things running. Boom. Now let's turn up the boost. How do we do that?
Easiest way is to take the provided shims in the shim pack here and go ahead and stack them behind the spring. The diaphragm and piston assembly will need to be removed in order to gain access to this. But every shim that you add is going to add approximately a half pound of boost. So you can work your way up in slower increments that way, or you can go ahead and take the green spring out, install a blue spring which is set up for 7 pounds of boost, and either set it at 7 pounds of boost with one shim, or go ahead and stack on the rest of them for up to 9 psi.
We have other springs available. Should you need them, just give us a call. We'll be happy to drop one in the mail for you. If you happen to be out and you're chasing your buddies down and you didn't bring a shim or something, manual boost controllers work the same on our turbos as any other turbo. The other thing is a 1/4-inch fender washer from any hardware store works as well, with no issues. Adjusting the vane controller is something that's very unique to the Aerocharger. What it allows us to do is to set the starting AR ratio. It's very important. I encourage everybody to play with it. You can customize this turbo to be as responsive as you want, or you can slow it down. It was like a slippery course. Somebody who's on a rim shot course, you don't always want that turbo hitting as hard as you can because you end up just blowing your track, not getting any traction. But you want that turbo to come on nice, smooth, and linear. You can adjust your vanes to do that, and or you can turn it all the way in and make it react like a slow conventional turbo.
Well, like I said earlier, we've already optimized the fine spot for this thing, so if you want, you can just leave it alone and you'll still be good to go.
Yep. Well, now that we've taken a look at what comes in the turbo, we'll go through the rest of the kit, and to do that, I think we'll pull in maybe Andrew or Corey and go through those components. I appreciate you showing us the turbo.
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey guys, let's take a little opportunity here to look at the rest of the components now that we've looked at the turbocharger with John. Today we've got Andrew Day with us, who is kind of the lead engineer for applications. He really helped found the kit business. Let's see what we got, Andrew.
Let's go.
First and foremost,
Most important thing, that way eliminate tech phone calls, is the instruction manual. It's got everything you need in there. On top is going to be a field guide. Tells you exactly what the field controller does in each mode, how to adjust it, what the base settings are. That way you don't ever have to remember what everything does. It's right there. It's on a laminated piece of paper. That way you can take it along with your sled and not worry about it getting wet. The next thing is going to be a cut template for the muffler. It tells you exactly where to cut the hole for the muffler. Just eliminates any guesswork. Important things like stickers. Everyone needs them. Everyone knows it's good for about 5 horsepower. Makes your sled go faster.
I thought there was 6 horsepower.
6? Yeah, there are colors.
That's on the 2013.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the instruction manual itself. Step-by-step instruction manual. It's got table of contents. If you have questions or anything like that, you can look it up there. But just step-by-step process to installing your kit. Pretty simple. Walk you through everything.
Back to the field guide. The kits come pre-programmed and ready to go, but it's a good idea to at least play with it a little bit, learn to tweak it. If you're a guy that wants to fine-tune it, it's great. A lot of our customers don't even know how, and that's fine. Their vehicles run fine all year long. If you do play with it and you get lost, the factory settings are on here you can always refer back to. So don't be afraid to play with it, get more comfortable with the system, and it'll end up with a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, like I said, it is preset the way we send it out. But there's some guys who like to be on the razor edge. And we generally set it a little on the rich side because it's better to be rich than lean.
There you go. Tell us what's in there.
All right, these are vents that we include for the XM. They're a frameless vent. That way you can drill holes in your plastics or completely cut it out if you want. The holes are nice because it adds more support to the plastic and you don't have to worry about them breaking. But you just peel off the sticker on the back and just put them on your sled. Had a lot of luck with these. We've been making them ourselves for a while now, and we're really happy the way they perform.
Now, when it comes to venting in general, we include what we believe is kind of the bare minimum. But obviously, the more venting, the better. And the other thing we were starting to see, especially with some of our Canadian customers, is it's important to keep the snow out of the inside of the sled. So silking up, and that's what we call these, are silks. Silking up any opening is crucial. Add all the venting that you're comfortable with. We even have some additional venting I think that we can make available.
Yeah, that
for
we
guys.
have available, and at a very reasonable price. But like I said, we want to eliminate all the snow possible from the inside of the sled, because if the snow turns to steam, and that's what the turbo's ingesting, it's not going to run very well.
So I think this is just a simple little box of some of the miscellaneouses.
Yeah, it's just a small parts box. There are a couple important things in here. The reeds are in here. These are reeds that BRP developed for Aerocharger for your E-TEC snowmobile. You just replace the stock reeds with the new reeds, and you're ready to go for easily 1,000 miles.
So that's one of the things that we've changed this year is we used to make a recommendation to do the reeds, but this year to eliminate confusion, to eliminate options, because we had people using reeds that were inappropriate. We now give you the right reeds, but we're only replacing the outer reeds. Is that correct?
Yep, we just replaced the outer reeds. The inner reeds, generally, we don't see any failure with those.
So we stick to a stock reed.
Stick to stock reeds. Yep, exactly right. Has good throttle response and good all-around performance. All right, another important part that is inside of this box are the check valves for the rave system. You're going to definitely want to make sure you install these to maintain correct performance of the rave valves.
Yeah, this is one of really the most difficult part, I think, of the kit, and it's not that it's hard. It's simply cutting the line and installing a check valve, but it's kind of down in an odd area of the engine, and it's very difficult for us to show the correct position. So please take your time installing those, and give us a call if you get questions.
Also in this box is going to be the hardware for the turbo. Just simple stainless bolts. They're already coated with anti-seize, that way you don't have to worry about removing them later if you decide to move your kit from say an XP to your XM. It just makes it easy to do that later. Here's just a cutout plate for the stock exhaust hole. Again, make sure you don't get snow inside of your sled. It's got rivets included with it, and it's just real simple. Extra springs for your exhaust for the turbine inlet pipe that we'll show you later. You spring it onto the stock pipe, onto the turbine inlet pipe, and that's all you got to do to pretty much hook the turbo up.
And then we do double up the springs with the Y pipe.
Yep. Yeah, that way you're making sure that the pipe doesn't come off the Y pipe.
Because we're adding additional back pressure with the turbo, because the turbines create pressure and just keeps everything running smooth.
Two little small screws that we use to attach the airbox to the throttle bodies. Nothing really to worry about here. Then here's the box or the bag that actually has all the hardware for the cradle. The exhaust cradle we'll show you later, but this will actually just mount it inside the footwell to completely support the turbo system. Here's some pin weight for the clutch.
The clutching works for 80% of the people.
Yeah, it works for most people.
We run into guys that have 174 or 3-inch tracks.
Yep.
That takes a different clutching requirement. Give us a call. Let us help you through that. But a lot of the small parts we do try to install if at all possible. Those are the ones that unfortunately we can't do until we have a sled. But here's a major component.
This is the single-piece charge tube for your Skidoo. It's going to be the same whether it's an XP or an XM. The charge tube has a blow-off valve pre-installed. Again, it's got a custom spring that we make specifically for the Skidoo XP.
And that was one of the things that we spent a lot of time developing was a typical blow-off valve out there. It's for 99% of the market, which is a 4-stroke,
yep,
which is high vacuum. So we went to our own billet blow-off valve. We've got umpteen number of springs that are available, but we do load this with what we call the 2-stroke spring, and it's just a very light spring to allow it to blow off very quickly and at the appropriate time.
Yeah, it's still got enough pressure on there, that way you're not leaking as you're making a big pull up a hill.
Yep, hose clamps are on in the appropriate place.
It's got
you're not trying to hunt for what you need.
Yep, it's got a line that's pre-labeled, tells you exactly where to hook it up. This one goes down to the manifold. Alright, this is the solenoid. It looks exactly like the solenoid that controls the ray valve, and that's because it is the same solenoid. But it's got pressure lines on it. They're all pre-labeled exactly where they go. This line here will go up to your fuel controller. This line here is going to go down to the manifold. As you can see, it's already got T's installed in the line. That way you can just put it right onto the throttle bodies, and that's all you got to do.
So we've pre-cut everything for you. We've got labels on there to tell you exactly where to put things. You're not digging for fittings. You're not trying to cut your own lines. We just try to make it as simple as possible. And
it's all high quality hose. It's going to stand up to the cold. It's going to stand up to any heat. It's hose you're not going to have to worry about failing.
And I believe we're down to the last line to talk about, and that's the fuel line.
Yep, this is the fuel line. It's all quick connect fittings. It'll actually go in between the factory fuel line that goes into the computer. Then it'll just quick connect using OEM fittings that go right back into the fuel lines. Then on the other side, this will actually go down to your fuel rail, and it's a AN style fitting, really high quality. It's something you're never going to have to worry about leaking. There aren't hose clamps all over this like a lot of fuel lines out there. If a hose clamp comes off, you could have a sled burn down. That's why we make sure everything's pre-crimped with high quality lines. They're all pressure tested, so you're going to have a good fuel line.
That's right, and this is even a custom part made for us by an OE hose manufacturer. This is not a place to be skimping 25 cents on as a manufacturer. Being pressure tested, we have the confidence to know that we're providing you with a safe product.
Alright, this bag right here, I'm not going to open it up, just a pretty simple part. It's actually going to be a headlight support. Seeing how we pull out the stock air box, you lose support for the headlights. So we have a simple system that actually just bolts on or clamps onto the frame on the front of the sled, and it'll support your headlight. That way it's not flopping around as you go ride.
So it gives that rigidity back to the plastics.
This bag here, it's got a bunch of different brackets on there. They're all labeled what they go to, but it's it's because we removed the air box on the XM, which supports all of the plastics. We have to put supports back in it. That way the plastics fit the way they should come from the factory.
Now this is one part that I like because I think it's a real convenience for most people.
What we did here is make a plug-and-play electronic system. It's got a fuse, and it just will plug into the additional accessory fuse on the mag side of the sled, and it's just it
actually sits on the side of the oil bottle.
Yep.
And the factory's provided us with an empty slot, so we can go ahead and finish off the slot. We give you the fuse for that, and now we've got good pigtails to go to the rest of our accessories, so you're not having to make up your own wiring and try to solder this or that.
Yeah, these fittings they just go right onto the air fuel ratio gauge, and the Aero Commander. That way you're not having to wire up your own fittings.
Yeah.
Or lines. This part here is a new mount for the gauges. We actually have a boost gauge and the air fuel ratio gauge. They'll get installed into the plastics on the sled. They'll cut 2 holes for the gauges. That way the gauges are out of the way. They're not on the bar anymore. We had guys with concerns about rolling the sled down. Well, it was never really a problem for anyone. We wanted to move it just to give them that sense of security that something's not going to break when they roll their sled down the hill.
So that's one of the things we changed for the XMs over the XPs. Now what was really cool is this.
We have custom-made boost gauges, Aerocharger's name right on there, that we know exactly what you're running. It's a small boost gauge. It'll just mount right into this panel, and just small, out of the way, but still really easy to read. So
the reason we had to do that was not because we wanted our name on it, but it was because a typical boost gauge is 2 1/8 or 2 1/16 in diameter, and to fit in the plastics on the XM in the best possible location, we needed to go to a smaller boost gauge. They weren't available, so again we went out and had custom parts made for us, just to add a little bit of quality to the kits. This is another one of our nice components that we do actually source elsewhere. But tell us a little bit about this part.
Yeah, this is the Innovate air fuel ratio gauge. Later we'll show you the exhaust cradle, and it's got a bung in there already, but it's an oxygen sensor that'll just screw into the bung on the exhaust cradle. Then the gauge comes pre-calibrated, but we recommend that guys calibrated again for their environment. You know, we're at 900 feet here. You know, we know guys will ride anywhere from sea level to 12,000 feet, and it helps if you recalibrate this, but it will work out the door.
And one of the things I like about this, comes with a black bezel, comes with a silver bezel. But tell us a little bit about the colors of the display.
Yeah, on the display, it's actually got a ring around the outside of LED lights, and they'll be green, yellow, and red. When you're real lean, idling, real low throttle, this will actually run red just because of how lean the E-TEC runs.
And that's completely normal.
Yep, that's completely normal. When you're at idle, it's actually going to read 22.4, which is actually the leanest this will read, but a stock E-TEC will actually idle at about 23.5, around there. And it's just crazy lean, but that's because of the E-TEC system and how they're charging the cylinders. But as you're cruising on a trail, the lights will turn yellow. This is going to be in a cruise mode type condition. No real load on the engine, but when you smack the throttle, you're climbing something, you're playing around in the deep snow, you want to see a green light on the LEDs. That way you're adding enough fuel for your sled. And
really, we only care about the air-fuel ratio when we're at full boost, wide open throttle. And the color for me is really nice. I like it because when you're at full boost on one of these, things are happening fast, and instead of looking down and trying to actually register a number, I can look down, boom, green, I know I'm good, continue going.
Yeah, when you're flying up the hill, those trees will get real close, and it's easy to see a color instead of a number.
Yep.
The next part is going to be the cradle and muffler for the E-TEC. It's completely made out of stainless steel. It's got bungs already on it for the O2 sensor like I was just talking about. It's also got a bung on here for the temperature sensor. Everything is ceramic coated and a titanium finish for good looks, good heat control, and just a quality finish that you're never going to have to worry about. Even though it's stainless steel, just going that little extra step, coating the parts, it's going to keep them looking good forever.
From there, we go to a part that actually we've redesigned this year. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, we did end up redesigning the airbox this year. This is the airbox and fuel system, or part of the fuel system for your Skidoo, XM and XP. It's going to be the same airbox this year. It comes pre-assembled with the fuel injectors and fuel rail already installed. It's got the O-rings already installed, just to make your installation that much easier. But like you said, we did redesign it this year. We changed the shape of the airbox to better reflect the acoustic waves back into the engine. We found by mimicking the factory airbox, we're able to get a little more power out of the engine. Better throttle response, and just every little thing you can do to make your kit that much better is what we're all about.
We also added the retainer on the left side of it. We had some guys that airboxes would pop off, something we addressed this year. We've got a spring to assist in that, but again, it's just every year or even every half a year we're always changing things just to make them a little bit better with the feedback that we get from Skidoo's race team and all of our customers. So now we're down to one of the last components.
This is the turbine inlet tube to the turbo. This will actually just spring onto the stock pipe. So a lot of old turbo kits, and I know there's still some out there, you have to cut and weld on your pipe to install the turbo kit. With this adapter, you'll just put this end onto the stock expansion pipe, spring it on, then bolt this side to the turbo. Then your turbo's hooked up to your exhaust.
Yeah, this is one of those parts that we spend a lot of time developing as well, but we're always trying to get the exhaust in and out. Would you grab that muffler again? Let's have a look at that. As a turbo manufacturer, and the fact that we're all turbo engineers, we think about things sometimes a little bit different. The idea is to get the exhaust into the engine. So we've heat wrapped this. Let's keep the heat and the energy in there. Turbines actually work on heat. And then when you look at the muffler, you can see that we're trying to get the air out of the turbo as efficiently as possible. Any sharp bends in that at all, any walls it hits, just kills your efficiency. It's going to kill your spool. It's going to kill your top end power. And every kit that you look at that we do, you'll see these traits in there.
Yep. Like I said, we heat wrap it just to keep the heat in the exhaust, keeps it out of the engine bay. Just makes the turbine even more efficient.
Yep. So I think we're down to really the last part that's in here. And tell us a little bit about this.
That's packing paper.
Okay, we don't need that. Anyhow, that's all the parts of the E-TEC kit. we're always changing them, always pushing the envelope. We've got lots of customers out there. We really appreciate the feedback we get from them. Skidoo, Rotex, the Skidoo race team, our own race team that we're looking forward to this year with Carl Kuster and Calvin Felker. And appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video, and look forward to hearing from you soon.